Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another lovely episode of Idea Dream Home Season 3. Yes, our search is winding down to its last couple of episodes, and ഇന്നത്തെ നമ്മളുടെ entry is called Hadiya. But before we introduce the house to you, let me once again welcome on the show our expert panel of judges, all of them experts in the field of architecture with years of experience. Firstly, we have architect T.G. Ramesh, who's got his own firm, Ramesh Group Associates in Statue, Trivandrum. Architect Shaina Rajesh, who's got building concepts in Kollam, and architect Ruben Koshi, who's got Studio 5 functioning in Trivandrum for a long time as well. So just a couple of more to go. So in one way, that's kind of good because you guys can all get back to your job. And in another way, it's going to be sad because we don't get to learn more. So today, your contesting house is called Hadiya. Apo, let's take a look at the visuals. Hadiya is our contesting house on the competition, and it's time for us to turn to our judges. Adim, Ruben, let me ask you, exteriors, your initial impression.
It's a pretty small house, you know. So in a small house, and when the ground floor, first floor, they are all at one plane, it looks too small. But for example, on the right side, on the left side, I'm sorry, because of the slope, that side looks okay. I thought that the slope should have been even taken to the front portion
So
also.
it just looks bigger.
It looks bigger, and you see the ground floor slightly bigger than you don't feel too much of a boxy kind of a feeling, you know.
Okay.
And the tile would have probably on the front itself. I didn't understand why it was only kept to the side, and you walk all along and you enter the, you know, little bit of a complexity there. But I like the two tones of color given, like maybe a little sandish and two shades of sand, like horizontal bands given, and I think that gives some kind of width to a narrow house. The landscape looks pretty good. You have a small water body on one side. The grass is quite lush. I think landscape is all right. The void on the first floor, the veranda area looks very nice actually from the top. When you look outside, beautiful veranda area, shaded, looks very nice. And those voids create some interest from the elevation side.
Okay, Rameshi?
First of all, the entry to this building is not clearly defined.
Okay.
In fact, you have to literally run around to find the entrance of this house. That's actually bad planning. You should have, the entry should have come onto the front. I think that space is occupied by the carporch. And the veranda outside the carporch, it's not coming out well. But otherwise, the landscape has come out well. But somehow the entry, I'm not very happy.
Not very happy. Shaina?
I like the compound wall, but regarding the elevation, I think each segment of the house looked different, completely different, because the right side of the house was not at all given any attention. The center part of the house, you know, we had to look up to see the bottom of the roof. We couldn't see the upper portion of the roof, so I don't think there's any point in giving a sloping roof if you can't see it from the road or something. And the left-hand side, there was a lean-to roof covering the sitter. I thought it was a later addition or something. That lean-to roof always, you know, it doesn't actually merge with the house unless it's properly planned. And they had a sit-out running through the back of the porch to the door, and the porch was given more importance than any other part of the house. The landscape was well done. Like Ruben said, the first floor balcony, covered balcony also looked good.
Okay, now let's find out how they had a first set of scores for the exteriors. Rameshji?
21.
Shaina?
18.
Rupen?
19.
19. Okay, Ini, let's go into the planning. Ruben?
Well, the planning is basically, I think, once you enter the front door, you have a straight passage with the living on one side, little ahead, dining on the other side. You could see the staircase. One major or minor, the way you look at it, problem with that is actually that passage is crisscross the movement from the dining to the kitchen. It looked like that, you know, because the dining is on one side and the kitchen is across the passage, the door. So I don't think that's really very ideal, and that movement would actually be caught by somebody standing right at the front door, you know. Then I like but how the staircase is treated. I mean, even though you could see from the visuals that the staircase is a little narrow, the starting part is widened and made more inviting to go up, you know. But the same place, the staircase where it leads on top looks really narrow, and there's a passage on the side that leads to a room or maybe outside. Those areas look really narrow, and because this kind of constraints you don't really notice from the outside of the building. I don't know whether that the total area of the house was limited due to budget or whatever, but certain areas in the planning look a little narrow. But as you step out to the front portion from the top, that covered area is a pleasure. I mean, the seating with the look like terracotta on the floor, wonderful area to be seated.
Shaina?
I too felt they had a lot of constraints regarding the planning because the site didn't have much constraints. There was ample width to the property. So maybe like Ruben said, they had some budget constraints, but the halls, the bedrooms, they were spacious enough. So I guess why they made the staircase too narrow, because if you carry something heavy and if you have to walk along the staircase, it's difficult. The turning is difficult. Again, there was a narrow passage from the staircase and they had a door. I don't know whether it's a bedroom or it looked like a toilet door, but that passage was very narrow. And regarding like when you enter the main door, you immediately entering the dining room space, and then only you're seeing the living room. So I guess that is a minus point in the planning aspect, because any guest entering that foyer space has been given, to avoid the but that has not been worked there. Then I saw a passage leading from the main door to the end of the house, and I think the bedrooms were accessed from the passage. Since if they had any budget restraints or area constraints, they should have avoided the passages. Regarding the bedrooms, I guess the cabinets have been neatly done. Whatever space they had have been utilized very well. Even the kitchen, considering the area constraints and the budget constraints, all those factors have been looked into.
Have been done well. Okay. Ramesh?
I think this one common problem I am noticing in this house is the rectangular bedrooms are all rectangle. Rectangle in the sense like something like 3 meter by 5 meter sort of sizes, should have been a bit more squarish, not so rectangle. Okay. So you are getting into narrow strips of rooms, like toilets are narrow strips, the bedrooms are like looking like narrow strips. So I think something has gone into the planning, not a normal type of bedrooms, it's all too much
elongated.
Elongated, everything is elongated.
Okay.
Even the kitchen I think also is elongated. But furniture layout also has not been planned according to it. In fact, the bedrooms and all the furniture is not really planned, and the headboard and all those things are not working out well.
No.
But basically, somewhere something has gone wrong somewhere in the planning. There are elongated stuff coming out.
So you're not very completely happy. Okay. Right. Ini namka marks like Rameshji, how much would you give it for planning?
19.
Shaina?
18.
Ruben?
19 for me also.
Okay, Ini, let's go into the interior segment. Shaina?
I like the interiors best, because in the living room they have given a completely different color scheme. I think it was a dark green, not a bottle green, but chanaga pachanaga, that color for the curtains, for the upholstery, and those striped designs. I liked it. Maybe it's very conventional furniture what they had, but the upholstery and the curtains went along well. And they had some personal pieces on the walls, but the light fittings were not matching with the sofa, with the seaters. Some smatches here and there, but basically I liked the living room. Coming to the dining room, I felt the dining table was out of place in that room, because it was a glass table, and I just saw 1 or 2 chairs, and there were 2 upholstered chairs on. That couldn't be used for dining purpose. Coming to the bedrooms, the color schemes, in the ground floor, I think a pink bedroom. I didn't like the pink bedroom, but on the first floor there was a bedroom with a dark black colored wall. I really liked it, but if they could have paid more attention to the bedspread, I think that room would have looked real classy. And there was another bedroom with a brown wall, highlighter wall. Even that bedroom was quite good. The cabinets, the way the cabinets have been designed, I think almost all the nooks and corners have been utilized for storage purposes. In one bedroom we saw a white cabinet. That looked good, but when I looked higher up, there was a wooden part. So that should have been continued for the entire length. Then, yeah, there are some, bits and pieces of, not bits and pieces, more than that. Interior-wise, it's good, but some overlooking has been done in some places.
Rameshji?
She has said almost everything. So, but one thing I would like to add is the kitchen. The kitchen also is looking very heavy. Okay. The top cabinets and everything is coming out very heavy. And narrow, again the elongated narrow kitchen, and the staircase also I am not too happy, even though the entry point it looks a bit more wider, but again on the side there is a room going by the side, and again that narrowness is reflecting in everything, almost every part of this house.
Ruben?
I'll tell you a couple of things that I like. I particularly like the flooring pattern. I mean, I think in the ground floor as well as the first floor, either the room has a border or there's a patch with a contrasting color. So some excitement coming on the floor by virtue of the patterns that they've created. On top, I think you have a wooden tile which is placed at 45-degree angle. So some kind of excitement coming because of the various patterns of the floor. Then I like there was one toilet which was, I think, black and red and white. Primary colors used very well, seemed very nice compared to some other toilet which had a mix of many colors and floral highlighters. This toilet really stood out. Then a couple of things I didn't like were for the fact that the dining and the living was so close to each other. The dining, like Shaina said, looked well coordinated. Even the curtains were matching the fabric of the sofa. But on the other hand, the dining looked absolutely out of place. I mean, you had black glass table with chairs and 2 red upholstered sofas. So that didn't look well at all, you know. So and the fact that they are so close by. Also, another thing I noticed in the living room was, again, they had a beam going right through almost the center of the living room, and a display shelf kind of thing placed too high. See, the purpose behind putting up display shelf is so that when somebody stands, you want to see it at your eye level. This was really way high. So these are small things that didn't work too well, but overall, I think there is some kind of cuteness in the interior.
Okay. Now let's find out your scores for the interiors. Shaina?
22.
Rameshji?
20.
And Ruben?
21.
21. Okay, Hini, we've heard about 3, just 1 left. Special feature. Does Hadiya have anything special, Rameshji?
I like the first floor balconies overlooking the garden, whatever. I mean, that has come out very well because of that traditional slope roof with the roofing tiles on top of it. That part I liked it.
Okay. Shaina?
Like I said, I like the first floor bedroom with the black color.
Yeah. Change the sheet. Ruben?
I think I like that bathroom which goes with that. It's a black and red and white. Very nicely done bathroom.
Okay. All right then. Now let's find out your score for that. Rameshji on 10.
5.
5 on 10. Ruben?
5 again.
Shaina?
6.
6. Okay, അപ്പോൾ Hadiya എന്ന നമ്മൾ ഇന്നത്തെ contestant എല്ലാ പാരാമീറ്റേഴ്സിനെയും കുറിച്ച് ജഡ്ജസ് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞു. Let's now find out what the total scores of the house stands at. Shaina, out of 100, it adds up to?
64.
64. Rameshji?
65.
65. And finally, Ruben?
64 again.
Well, that's all we have for today's episode. Now, tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. when we join you, I can quite happily say that our search to find Kerala's most beautiful home is pretty much going to be winding down because we come before you with our last contesting house. But to know more, all you have to do is tune in, same time, same place, tomorrow night. Till then, it's goodbye from all of us here on Idea Dream Home Season 3.